Microphone over here, huh? Yeah. Yep. Why is this looking at this screen? Okay, I may have this on the wrong screen. So there we go. All right. So it turned out that the sound was playing when I watched the Twitch and the YouTube video, but it wasn't playing through my headphones. But I fixed that, so we should be pretty good now. Well, let's jump right back into watching the second hour of Birth of a Nation. This should be fun. It's weird because this movie was like a visual masterpiece too when it came out. It had some of the best filmmatography or cinematography of its day. The death of the second Cameron's son. look at that mustache. It's gnarly. I noticed the red frame with violence and destruction. They set a whole town on fire. Can't remember who that was doing the fire starting. Don't you miss top hats? I feel like we've seen this scene maybe like 20 times. Bunch of people running from, I guess, the Union Army. The last great days of the Confederacy. On the battle lines before Petersburg, parched corn, their only rations. That sucks, because I hate corn. I guess this is trying to drum up sympathy for the Confederate cause. That they also would fight to literally just eating poached corn. You notice how the music's sad, too? Oh, poor Confederate soldiers. A sorely needed food train of the Confederate is misled on the wrong road and cut off on the other side of Union lines. Oh no! The Confederates aren't going to get fed. Some weird uniforms back in the day, man. I like our uniforms better now. General Lee orders an attempt to break through and rescue the food train. A bombardment and a flanking movement are started to cover the charge. Alright, so I guess we're going to see a battle here of the Confederate soldiers versus the Union soldiers. The action before daybreak with artillery duel in distance. So here's a war scene. You got the Union troops flying the United States flag, not the Confederate flag, because they were the winners. Which this movie likes to paint as a bad thing, so. The little colonel receives his orders to charge at an appointed moment. What's up, Blueberry? So now he's rallying the troops, the entrenchments of opposing armies separated by only a few hundred feet. I mean, if you think about it, this is a really interesting war scene, and it was very interesting to see at the time the movie was made. It was like 1915. But look at this choreograph and this huge battlefield and all these people participating. This is one of the other ways that this movie gets you sucked into it. Even though it's talking about how great the Ku Klux Klan is, but Look at how beautiful the picture is and the scenery, the music, and the masked batteries, and how everything just comes together. That's interesting, throwing smoke grenades and stuff. Or is that just like cannon fodder? Oh, you can see a smoke ring right there. Look at the Confederates fighting valiantly against the Union soldiers. Look, now they're starting to retreat a little bit, signifying, that they're kind of cowardly, or that the Confederacy was really giving it to them. Imagine just like charging towards people shooting at you in a straight line. I don't know how they ever thought this was good tactics. And that guy is still alive after he like went halfway across over there for like 10 minutes. I mean, look at all the people in the background too. Like, those are real actors. That's insane that they had to build something that high just for them to video this. Now the field artillery. Now they're just getting pounded. The mortars. Oh shit, that something just went off behind me. Wonder how they made this smoke even back then. And the pyrotechnics. Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff. Like, if this is actually how war was, the Little Colonel leads the final desperate assault against the Union command of Captain Phil Stoneman. This was actually how war was back in the day. That'd be some slow and boring shit. And agonizing. This was like the original idea for Game of Thrones. Right here. Just massive battle scenes of real people. After the war, you start to see how the South is changed by the Union. That's where things get really interesting. This part's really for the people who enjoy watching fight scenes and old westerns and stuff like that. But see how a lot of the Union soldiers are black? Well, they don't look black now. But there's a couple blackface people back in there. Oh, and then it's over. Apparently, that flashback or that scene right here is supposed to be... It was super emotional back in the day. Now see how the music's like upbeat and stuff? Like they're, you know, fighting for a just cause as they're storming through the Union barricade. That guy just hitting people in the head with his pistol. I mean, that stuff's not funny in real life, though. Yeah. I've seen people get shot in real life, and it's not what it looks like at all. I guess they're retreating again. The Confederates pushed them back to another line. Yep, 2 lines of entrenchments taken, but only a remnant of his regiment remains to continue the advance. So it's really painting their last battle as like the Confederates were just so close to victory. Not that like the Union probably decimated them at this point in the war because they had nothing, no food, very little ammunition and weapons, and this guy's like taking a nap, looks like. I think that's one of the other brothers. Yeah, it's one of the other brothers. Oh, that was so valiant of him. And then this is pretty much, their suicide attempt. Pretty much like the white, and then the darkness, like white versus black, good versus evil. And they're basically just going to suicide themselves for the just cause of not changing the South, is how this movie portrays it. Like, he fought to the bitter end, and oh, he put it in the cannon. What a brilliant moment. Look at that. I think that's his brother, yeah. In the red lane of death, others take their places, and the battle goes on into the night. Which I don't know what the battle was going on, if that was like their last push, but alright. War's Peace. Notice the blue scenery, because this is an emotional, solemn thing. Now it's going to show you like the death toll, or just the way the Confederate soldiers and stuff, to get you to empathize or sympathize with them. And we go back to the red filter here. Another flashback to some Confederate dead soldiers. Look at all these white bodies just staying. This one dude over here looked like a zombie. Imagine sitting in a stuffy movie theater house with no AC or whatever for 3 hours watching this movie in 1915, when you could probably smell everybody's odor. I don't know how well the North is victorious. Now it goes to like a yellow filter. And finally shows that the darkness pushed over the white. News of death of their second son and the eldest being near death in a Washington hospital. Now the Confederate soldiers all in torn rags and stuff, and they have all sold all their belongings so that they could fund the war, so they're now all in rags and stuff, and you should feel bad for them for being poor. Look at how sad they are. Yeah, she just finds out that pretty much both her boys are gonna die. Which is an interesting trope because there's a lot of war movies that now kind of play on that. Maybe not fighting on opposite sides, but like Saving Private Ryan, where he had to go save his brother. And then there was a new one with Benedict Cumberbatch, like this year, that was similar to that. War, the breeder of hate. So now she's gonna really hate the Union and all of them. And this kind of sows the seeds for like even now how Southerners will talk about the North, like true Southerners that believe in that states' rights bullcrap or whatever to the extreme. But this is what that same anger is something that lasted generations. The woman's part. This is where like, you know, they stereotype women to where mostly their role is to be comforting, consoling, and emotional and stuff like that. It looks like she's about to snap her neck, though. The little colonel in the military hospital set up in the patient's office where Elsie Stoneman is a nurse. Well, what do you know? That's nice. Somebody just going around singing for the injured soldiers or whatever. They have some interesting like face shots and camera angles. Doesn't that like remind you of the black and white Nosferatu when he was like waking up? Why don't we grow mushes or mustaches like that anymore? I mean, look at that thing. It's ridiculous. Nobody plays the banjo either. Actually, my friend plays the banjo. It's pretty awesome. Uh, Though we never met, I have carried you with me for a long, long time. Carried you about with me for a long, long. I guess they're just gonna fall in love right now. He's like, hey girl, come fluff my pillow. Oh. Oh, does he have a picture of her? Oh yeah, that's right. Hot diggity dog. I forgot about that love story. I haven't seen this in like 6 years. But it's important that we do see this movie. The mother Cameron comes from Piedmont to visit her stricken eldest boy. Now the Union soldiers are being depicted as like hard asses or, you know, just unfair people. I'm going into that room to my boy. You may shoot if you want to. That southern mentality. Shoot me, but I'm not gonna wear a face mask. Yeah, she can't recognize her boy. Who is this woman? Oh man. But this movie, like if you've ever seen that documentary, I think it's 14 or 13 about one of the amendments for oh man, I can't remember. But it was a pretty recent documentary. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's really good. But a lot of the stuff they talk about in that documentary about systemic racism and things like that through history, you can see stemming from this movie. And this movie becoming so popular when it did, it really changed and helped promote this idea of the South being this just cause thing. Because rhetoric is one thing, but propaganda, which this is something that is propaganda, as art or as a movie, can move mountains farther than just saying the propaganda or whatever. If you can get people emotionally tied to it, then the propaganda is even harder for you to discern. There's a lot of people like this with like ultra nationalism type stuff where they just, these super American gung-ho people that would probably have sex with America if it was a person. Oh, I guess everybody has to shake the president's hand or something. I think she tries to kill him. Or this is the seeds of like the John Wilkes Booth. And she hates President Lincoln for the war. She just lost her 2 sons because of the war. God dang it, Abe Lincoln. You always gotta ruin things. With your emancipation of the slaves. What is wrong with you? How dare you want black people to be considered people to a degree? They did it to a degree. And then took hundreds of years to fix that. Don't you touch my mom. That actor for Abe Lincoln, though, is super interesting. Wonder what he's writing or that's making them so excited. Could you imagine being able to be that way towards your president without somebody like knife chopping you in the throat or pointing a gun at you? Just having everybody walk in and say, hey. The musical score for this is pretty good though. I'm not gonna lie. It does make the movie Mr. Lincoln Has Given Back Your Life to me. I wonder if it has something to do with like him being forgived. Her son, convalescent Miss Cameron, starts back to pen the failing father. If they like absolve him from all of the crimes that he did or whatever, or he won't be prosecuted for being a traitor. Yep, I said traitor to the nation. See how they're like kind of disrespectful to women? The Union soldiers are, but the Confederate soldiers were not like that. That like, this is what happens when you integrate blacks into your society, that they begin to change their mannerisms like that. This guy has like a head injury back here and he's like all slapping him in the face. Back at home with the good news. Oh man. She is literally wearing rags now. I didn't think you could get any worse than what she had, but it is now literally rags sewn together. The servant of the house. This is where like Robert E. Lee is charged campaigning with Grant. I have no idea. Oh, it's the surrender of Robert E. Lee to General Grant. See the light and darkness. See his mannerisms. He's like sitting all improper. His legs are open, smoking a cigar. He's in a very white area, very proper, very disciplined. That's an important distinction, that these men here are very distinct and stuff. And what the Union was bringing was all that disorder and ugliness. The end of state sovereignty, the soul of Daniel Webster calling to America. Liberty and the Union, one and inseparable, now and forever. So basically, the states have just lost all their sovereignty and they're now property of the federal government. And see, look at their mannerisms. Like, hey, I'm Joe Cool, man. Look at my trashy dress. I'm not clean pressed. Look at him. I think he did that so he could be like a pervert. Intentionally switch places. Look at that Jerry curl. Oh, he's love struck. Pew. That is a creepy ass dude. Not gonna lie. He is looking her up and down. The feast for the returning brother. Parched corn and sweet potato coffee. Well, I've never had parched corn before. Oh, well, I guess they still haven't gotten any of their money back. This is kind of show that after the Union, this is the new norm. That they'll just have to live in rags and look like impoverished people. Southern ermine from raw cotton for the grand occasion. Even though I'm pretty sure this is like what 90% of Americans live like during this time. If many even owned a house. She put blood on the cotton. Or dirt on the cotton. Notice how that kind of like outlines her chest right there. Look at that front yard. Could you imagine not having to mow that? Whose front yard looks like that anymore either? Look, so he's coming into the scene and he doesn't recognize anything. He's like, what is this place? Where's my house? Where are all the black people in the street acting like animals? Where's all the white people sitting on the porches outside and enjoying a good old time? It's showing the change so far. That is a awkward looking dress. That's for sure. This is how dramatic they have to make it. Like, he's just so in awe of how things changed just by letting black people not be slaves. Yeah, nobody takes care of your shit unless you go out there and do it yourself. Oh. Hey, how's it going? We both look like we're in rags. I have a hole in my hat and I have no idea what that is. Is that cotton? Or cotton candy? That's cotton candy. He's gonna eat it. He's gonna do it. Eat it. Yep. They both just looked off at kind of like blaming the North for their woes look. Looks like there's a music symbol in his hat. Like a note. Looks like he's making out with the door. Like the door had hands. The radical leaders protest against Lincoln's policy of clemency for the South. So this is kind of painting Lincoln as not that bad, but this guy here, the mulatto, he's gonna get super upset for giving Southerns clemency. But even then, notice how they're sitting. He's got his legs crossed, very proper. His body language is a lot different. Imagine just being able to come in and just yell at your president like that. Their leaders must be hanged and their states treated as conquered provinces. So this is like the very extreme opinion probably from like maybe 10 Northerners at that time. That's probably an exaggeration, but there's no way that more than half of Northerners would think that. But they're trying to paint this as like the Northerners are just these savage people. And Lincoln's like, nah, we're gonna treat them like they were American citizens. And he's like super upset about it. Like, I just can't believe you. Can't believe you. We need, the only thing that will right those wrongs is people hung in the streets to heal a nation. You know, that's interesting. How many of y'all agree with offering the South clemency for their actions? Do you think it would have changed a lot if we had not and just killed everybody? Alright, look at that blackface character. Look how crazy he looks. Look at his lips. I think he has a chicken bone around his belt or something. Oh. And then, when the terrible days were over, and a healing time of peace was at hand, came the fated night of April 14th, 1865. That's another blackface character. But look how he's like bowing and he's very, very disciplined, very proper. Look how he even stands like he's in the military. He walks very controlled like a robot. Look at all the whiteness. A gala performance to celebrate the surrender of Lee, attended by the president and staff. The young Stoneman's present. In a historical facsimile of Ford's theaters that night, exact in size and detail with the recorded incidences after Nicolay Hay in Lincoln a History. So I guess this is where President Lincoln's gonna get assassinated. What's interesting is I don't recall ever knowing what he went to go see in the theater, and if that's what it was a celebration of General Lee surrendering. Because if not, then this would be some fabricated propaganda for the South to use. And look at how all the women are. They're all like crazy looking and unkept hair and whatever. I'm trying to see if you can see Lincoln anywhere. I don't remember where he is. Time, 8:30. The arrival of the president. Well, that explains it. He's not there yet. Now, this is before the Secret Service was actually enacted. I think the Secret Service was being talked about being enacted during this time, and then after his assassination, they just went ahead and enacted the Secret Service. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. So everybody's very excited Lincoln's there. They just absolutely love him. Mr. Lincoln's personal bodyguard takes his post outside the presidential box. Yeah, I don't remember reading anything about Lincoln having a bodyguard, but I don't remember much about his assassination either. Does that make me less of an American? Oh, Lincoln looks like a zombie. Look, he looks demonic. With the lighting and his makeup. To get a view of the play, the bodyguard leaves his post. A better view, like he has no view. Let's see, he walks on the other side. Time, 10:13. Act 2, Act 3, Scene 2. John Wilkes Booth. The binoculars, or whatever those things were. Now look at the president. He's all lit up right there. They do these scenes really weird. The dramatic effect it causes. I guess he's like hiding behind him right now. Oh, he's behind his bodyguard. Look at those pants. What are those even made out of? Ta-da. Now listen to the music. Like Lincoln wouldn't have heard his door opening or turn around. Oh, maybe he wouldn't have if there was a loud symphony with this play or whatever. Oh! And then shoots Lincoln. And then just jumps right through the middle. And says some southern shit. Everybody's like, oh my god, what do we do? Nobody run after him? Nope. The president was just shot and nobody ran after the perpetrator. I actually remember there being like a long response time for some reason when that happened. I'm probably wrong though. I'm really bad at some of this historical stuff. Jesus, that is not how you treat a head wound either. Stoneman told of the assassination. Look at the blackface character. Yes, Amasa. He does not want no more company. Please leave. He's probably talking in his proper white guy voice from that movie. You're now the greatest power in America. Look at the wind like blowing him in the hair with his... The news is received in the South. They get it by newspaper. Our best friend is gone. What has become of us now? Oh, now they're scared that since he's been killed that the next person's gonna come and erase the clemency and hang them all. And look at the blackface in the back. She's just like, end of the first part. Yeah, this is a long movie. Second part, Reconstruction. The agony which the South endured that a nation might be born. The blight of war does not end when hostilities ceased. So basically, it's going to paint the ravaging of Southern society. This is a historical presentation of the Civil War and Reconstruction period and is not meant to reflect on any race or people of today. Excerpts from Woodrow Wilson's History of the American People. Adventurers swarmed out of the North, as much the enemies of the one race as of the other, to cozen, beguile, and use the Negroes. In the villages, the Negroes were the office holders, men who knew none of the uses of authority, except in insolences. The policy of the congressional leaders wrought a veritable overthrow of civilization in the South, in their determination to put the white South under the heel of the black South. Woodrow Wilson. I don't know if he actually said that, but the white men were roused by a mere instinct of self-preservation until at last there had sprung into existence a great Ku Klux Klan, a veritable empire of the South to protect the Southern country. So this is the White Knights, basically. The uncrowned king, the executive mansion of the nation, was shifted from the White House to the strange house on Capitol Hill. Basically now that North guy is in power. And this is how all the lawmakers and everybody is. They just bend over backwards for him and how he treats everybody like he is the king and he is all powerful. Be like what, Miss Mocha? Stoneman's protege, Silas Lynch, mulatto leader of the blacks. Notice how it has to be a mulatto that's leader of the blacks and not a black person either. It has to be a mixed race. And even she has kind of blackface on right now. Uh, this this movie is trying to paint that the reason why the Southern isn't as, or the South isn't as great as they used to be, is because the mixing of blacks and whites in society. So who's in power plays into the power structure and the storytelling of the movie, that why blacks should never be given power or never have ever been able to leave the slave plantation. You'll see it coming up pretty soon. There's some really crazy scenes. See, now he makes people like kiss his hand and treat him like he's divine royalty, even though he wasn't voted in. This is another thing that they're going to allude to, is that he wasn't voted in. Lincoln was assassinated and he just got the power. So this sows the seeds of distrust in political authority as well. The great radical delivers his edict that the blacks shall be raised to full equality with the whites. So now, I guess even under Lincoln, black and white people weren't going to be treated totally equal, but now he says they will be equal. Senator Sumner calls, forced to recognize the mulatto's position. And he refuses to treat her like, a white lady. He would normally probably console the lady. But he refuses to do so, and that's why she's a little angry right there. The senator urges a less dangerous policy in the extension of power to the freed race. Nice. Thanks, John. Appreciate that. I shall make this man Silas Lynch as a symbol of his race, the peer of any white man living. So basically, the Southerners are painting this as like, through law, you had to recognize them as equal, that they were forced into it. I've heard this argument before, like if they weren't forced into it, they would have eventually got there, and they didn't like the fact that they were being forced to do it. Sowing the wind. Stoneman, ill at his daughter's apartments, sends Lynch south to aid the carpetbaggers in organizing and wielding the power of the Negro vote. So basically, now they're going to usurp elections in the South by getting all black people to vote so that they can flip everything. And that's a bad thing. People voting is a bad thing. John, this is the 1915 movie Birth of a Nation, or The Klansman, I think was the original name of the movie. But it's one of the first movies to really paint the South as like these good people, and the Ku Klux Klan as these white knights that saved people. It's incredibly interesting. So notice how they're living. They're in the North. They have a lot of wealth and money now. They have nice things. But when we transition back to the Southerners, they're going to be in rags with nothing on their walls, no furniture or whatever. Lynch makes Piedmont his headquarters. So now the Union soldiers and everybody are moving into Piedmont. That's another blackface character. Starting the ferment, the Black Party celebration, inducing the Negroes to quit work. So this is really interesting. So, making them quit work. The Republican Party now still has this concept of you must go to work. Like even now during the COVID 19 crisis, they are still talking about we need to go to work. This concept of like black people being lazy. This is where it starts and where it keeps being perpetrated. Thanks, Saucy. I appreciate that, man. I do gaming and I also do this as well. So notice how the black slaves are incredibly happy doing work and they're in the back dancing and hooting and hollering. This is how they portray black people as having fun. They just lose control. They just go crazy. And when black people are disciplined, they're able to work very well and they like to work. They love working. So now these people are basically going to tell them that they're all free and the same as white people. And they're like, what? Really? Can you see this guy? These guys right here always crack me up. The Freedmen's Bureau. The Negroes getting free supplies, the charity of a generous North misused to delude the ignorant. So this is another thing that Republicans like to say. So free supplies, which is charity and welfare, a welfare state, that because they get free supplies, that is how they're going to be able to like influence them. And hold on, let me see if I can just go back a little bit so we can see that again. To delude the ignorant. So the charity of the generous will get stupid people to vote for them. And that's why the Democrats is always focused on minority parties or whatever, because we want to give them free shit to get their votes, right? This is in 1915. Like that's crazy that the Republican parties, how their views don't necessarily change. The concept just evolves. I shouldn't say generally the Republican Party, but the conservative element that has existed in both parties. See, now look how they all act. Awesome. Thanks for the follow, Miss Mocha. See, look, they just don't care. There's no politeness or whatever. The order of the town is now gone. They've lost their culture. And even now with like Trump, that's why a lot of Southerners and Trumpers are the way they are, is because they don't want to lose the way their communities are now. And that's how they feel a lot of Democratic or left-leaning policies will happen, is this will happen. That will lose the politeness of the South. I live in Texas. I hear about that shit all the time. Releasing prisoners. Stoneman, advised by his physician to seek a milder climate and desiring to see his policies carried out at first hand, leaves for South Carolina. I think that's the first time we've seen that blackface character, the nanny in the background. She's new. Their arrival in Piedmont. Influenced by his children, he has selected the hometown of Camerons for his sojourn. So I don't even know what that is. But now we have the Union soldiers. Look how undisciplined they are in the background. I think that character becomes extremely important here very soon too. So this is the irony, is he moves in to their old house. Or no. That's a new house. And even the difference between the northern blacks and the southern blacks. She calls them northern low-down black trash. As if like her blackness is a higher caliber than his blackness. That even southern blacks viewed northern blacks as different than themselves. That is some crazy social engineering to get you to believe stuff like that. Now they have a little bit of happy times. What is going on with his forehead? What the? I have no idea what that was for. Oh man, I can't say that word. Wow. Notice how the language being used, it wasn't correct punctuations or whatever. Lynch's second meeting with the little colonel, the black's condensation. I probably said that wrong too. Look how he like looks away in anger when the mulatto guy shows up. He won't even look him in the eye. The seeds of the North versus South, the Republican versus Democrat, the whatever. Good versus evil. And you'll see why the unions are considered evil pretty soon. It keeps getting better. A man of principle right there. I am still mad that you have freed people so that they may be equal. I will never forgive you. And now we've got some devious music because it's all about devious behind the scenes power grabs or something like that when it comes to Democrats or abolitionism. I can't talk today. Lynch, a traitor to his white patron and a greater traitor to his own people, whom he plans to lead by an evil way to build himself a throne of vaulting power. So basically, he's going against the white race so that he can get power over everybody. The Southern Union League rally before the election. 40 acres and a mule, equality. So this is the State House. Look how disorderly it looks. Look how all the this guy, they're just over here chilling. They're over here like being super emotional. They're getting aggravated. There's no order. But beforehand, in the first part of the video, they would all sit in single file lines. They would wait their turn. And this is like backdoor politics. Literally backdoor. Stoneman, the guest of honor. Look how they all like act. They all act like children. This guy's like bobbing and weaving like he's got some mental issue that he's not right in the head. Look at him getting mad and angry and throwing things, and now it's getting rowdy. Enrolling with the Negro vote, the franchise for all blacks. I don't get enough franchise to fill my bucket. I don't want it no how. I guess this is that free stuff. And that some people will always ask for more. Now it's like animal abuse. The love strain is still heard above the land's misery. Now we got green. What are they doing with that dog? Is it an exorcism or something? And they'll always show, I think that's the mulatto guy, and they'll always show anybody black or with black and mixed race as being dark and creepy and always hiding behind and looking as a pervert or things of that nature. You'll see in a couple scenes when they introduce a new character what I'm talking about. I don't know what's going on with the bird. It's kind of weird. So he's like lurking in the shadows behind a tree. The peeping Tom guy. The love token. Now here's a love story, because you can't have a movie without a love story. A dove, right? Is that a dove? Like a white bird? Who the hell brings a bird home? Bitter memories will not allow the poor bruised heart of the South to forget. Seriously, what are you going to do with a bird? Did they have cages back then? Gross, putting your mouth on a bird. Yes, that is kind of weird. I guess love makes you do crazy things, maybe. But when the white guy does it, it's like not creepy or anything at all. It's totally normal. He's just admiring her beauty. And that his advances aren't seen as like sexual or whatever. They're very friendly and very soft and loving, and it's romantic. And when they introduce one of the new blackface characters, you'll see him do the exact same thing, but it's not taken the same way, and it doesn't look the same way. And when no means no, basically, that she's going to reject him, and he'll be like, I can kind of accept that, but maybe I'll give you some distance. In another one of the scenes that leads up to a big conclusion, you'll see something different. You don't kiss birds, Miss Mocha? I personally like blue jays. Still, a north and a south. Pride battles with love for the heart's conquest. So even though they've like taken over, there is still a north and a south. No way you put your mouth on them? Yeah. I don't know. Some people and their pets, it's like letting their dogs lick the inside of their mouth or whatever. It's kind of weird. See, it's really hard for us to connect with like love stories back in the day because our concept of like romance has changed so much, and this seems so like weird to watch. Like now she's just randomly crying and he's gonna come console her. And now they're gonna kiss. Oh. Shooting a miss. Friend zoned. Oh my god, could you imagine kissing anybody like that? Like, I'll watch you safely. So basically, the white male is the protector that's gonna always be there to watch over her, make sure she's safe. That was in the first part too. Oh, there goes the kiss. Love's rhapsodies and love's tears. If any of you have a significant other, is that how you felt when after like your first date? Just went in and started doing squats everywhere. Oh, you make out with a pole. And immediately cry. No. Been married for like 6 years. I cried a couple times when I missed her though. But not on the first date. Hey, remember, Miss Mugger, this was made in 1915. Election day. All blacks are given the ballot while the leading whites are disenfranchised. So this is also an important thing, is voting in with Black America. So all the whites are going to lose power. Basically, if we allow minorities to vote, like if we allow illegal immigrants to come in and then we give them amnesty, all of a sudden Democrats will take over the country. This is that same concept in 1915. And then look, this is stuffing the ballot. This is something that they still are scared of with election security. And it only happens when black people get the right to vote. Like we gotta watch that again, because this is a really important part. Sorry. But there's just so much being communicated in these couple scenes about things that we still have a problem with today. And now notice how they're disenfranchised. The whites are. So watch. He's checking. He put one ballot in and then two ballots, because Democrats always cheat when they vote, or black people are just slimy people. They can't be trusted to do fair elections. And he was like an actual like Southern voter, and he was kicked out of line and he's not allowed to vote. They're basically, which they do now with like voter ID laws and all this other stuff. And here comes the colonel like, you're gonna let me vote? And they're like, nah, you can't vote in this election. Nope. So basically they stuffed the ballots and they did voter suppression on Southerners. And they sweep the state and they go hooting and hollering and throw big parties. They won even though they basically cheated. And Silas Lynch is elected the lieutenant governor. That's the mulatto from earlier. So the North installed somebody to be elected through elections, right? To be lieutenant governor. But because they stuffed the ballots and because they suppressed the vote, they knew that he was gonna be elected anyways. Celebrating their victory at the polls. Now watch how everybody celebrates. Shooting wildly in the streets, kind of like what right-wingers do now when they just shoot shit. And then I guess he starts to take a fancy to her. Everybody's going crazy in the streets. It's like probably when the Eagles went to the Super Bowl, that's how it was. Where I was. So basically they know that they cheated and they're really upset about it. The case was tried before a Negro magistrate and the verdict rendered against the whites by the Negro jury. So now white people are being oppressed because there's a black judge and a black jury. Even today, we have to make sure we have racial equality on like a juror's bench, but we still have arguments about that, and it's crazy. So notice how black people conduct their courts. They're really listening to the black guy on the bench intensely, even though he's probably lying, and everybody's just... And I guess they got a verdict that they didn't like. Darkness falls. Now basically the Union soldiers and the blacks are just gonna beat up white people and make them feel uncomfortable in their own... Like, we still hear this today. Except we might not use the word blacks, we may use poor people or something like that. Like, I don't want to live in that neighborhood. Even while he talks, their own faithful family servant is punished for not voting with the Union League and the carpetbaggers. So now the people in power punish those who dissented. Because he voted the other way and they checked his vote, they're now going to punish him for that. Kind of like how the IRS... So now, yep, they're going to hang him. Oh, they're going to give him backlashes. That sucks. But look at how they dole out punishment. They're just wild animals attacking him. They're all laughing at the violence and everything. But, you know, it was cool to beat slaves. And murder is something people just look away from. Nobody takes responsibility for the crimes that they do. Like black people, they just don't follow the law. Law, another concept that we still talk about today. Like, if they had just followed the law, maybe they would have not died. That type of ideology. The faithful soul enlists Dr. Cameron's sympathy. So now see how he treats the black man because they voted. They're real kind to him or whatever, and they look worried and like they're interested in him. The riot in the Master's Hall. The Negro Party in control in the State House of Representatives. 101 blacks against 23 whites. Secession of 1871. This is interesting because apparently it was just black versus whites. It wasn't Democrats or Republicans. It wasn't Southern or Northern states. It was blacks against whites. They painted it as a racial issue. Now, this scene is really important too. You're going to see how black congressmen are on the floor. They're eating chicken on the floor. They're drinking alcohol on the floor. They're up here trying to run business, but they're over here hooting and hollering, eating on the floor, which you're not supposed to do. He's spitting the seeds on the floor. They're drinking and passing around like, you know, blacks are alcoholics. And that's all that they care about. They got their boots on there. They're taking their feet off. They're eating chicken on the floor, which is incredibly terrible. They have their hats on, which is what you don't do that in the Congress. He's out here speaking out of turn, not listening to the speaker. And then they start making stupid laws like this. Had they have just remained slaves, you wouldn't have had to make all these erroneous laws like you must wear shoes. Now all whites must salute Negro officers in the streets. So blacks are basically gonna make white people do what they did to them and the Southerners don't like it, right? Yeah. The helpless white minority. Look at how calm they are. They're just sitting there, listening, being attentive. Oh, and now we have white women who have entered the building. And white women, well, now blacks can marry whites. So now those white women are going to start feeling unsafe. And this is how black people look at white women. They go, oh my God, I can finally go get that white tail. Let's go. And now this family's super uneasy because now his daughters aren't safe from these sexual demons that are black people. And they're all going crazy on the house floor and jumping and throwing things. Like, that's not what you do in the house. They have a lot of rules. Notice how the white people are still sitting down and acting respectful. So later, the Grim Reaping begins. So now, Gus the Renegade, a product of the vicious doctrine spread by the Carpetbaggers. So Gus is the new character that's introduced. He's blackface. I think he's a Union soldier. And he is a sexual predator, basically. Look at him in the background. Like he's a zombie or a monster or Dracula. He's going to be seen like spying on them. And he thinks that because now he can marry white women, he will just go ahead and do that. Notice the you can feel the emotion between the North and the South right there. In agony of soul over the degradation and ruin of his people. So his people being white people. So he goes off in the middle of the woods and basically cries about black people being integrated into society. And he's going to be upset and he's going to think of a way to fix that. Then he's reminded that you gotta hide the black children because they're crazy. Even the children are not normal. I guess they're also easily scared and dumb. So this is the inspiration for the Ku Klux Klan, that a white sheet will scare black people because they're dumb. So basically, he's going to start the Ku Klux Klan, the organization that saved the South from the anarchy of black rule, but not without the shedding of more blood than Gettysburg, according to Judge Turgey of the Carpetbaggers. Wow. The Ku Klux Klan saved the South from the Carpetbaggers. Just to let you guys know. Their first visit to terrorize a Negro disturber and barn burner. So basically, black people just burn barns and stuff. And now they're coming to meet them to scare him. Now they all look like crazy ghosts. Fighters for Christ. And he does like a high Hitler salute. Interesting, huh? I guess they're doing like the Christian cross to burn away demons. Because that's what they are. Black people are demons or demonic. And they're off with their gun. You see their gun? Lynch's supporters score first blood against the Ku Klux Klan. So now it's going to be like another mini North versus South type thing. They're going to start fighting. And of course, they look like cowards just shooting in the bushes and ambushing them and not fighting them straight on. And they make sure that they kill their enemies. Hey, what's going on? Joe Edson? I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing, man? So now he's telling the guy in power about the Ku Klux Klan. Look at that horn on that thing. What's that whale that has a horn on it? We shall crush the white South under the heel of the black South. So here it goes with the pretty much just gonna destroy them now. You have my permission type thing. He's gonna secretly wear that. Your lover belongs to this murderous band of outlaws. So now they're a band of outlaws, kind of like some cowboys, I guess. And he's asking her about it. Look at his face. He's probably thinking about cooking a turkey. That's what I would be thinking about. The tryst. Confirmed in their suspicions and loyalty to her father, she breaks off the engagement. So now the love story's over. Because she found out that he has one of the white hoods. Like, who goes around walking with that? Like, it's gotta be like Superman and always have it. So you can just throw it on and be like, oh look, there's a black person by himself. Let's go terrorize him. And now she's like, I'll never talk to you again. But you need not fear, I portray. So she won't tell the lieutenant governor about him, but she's not going to marry him anymore because of this. So this is a part of the storyline of why he hates the North. Not that his own actions caused it. It was the South that did it. Over 400,000 Ku Klux costumes made by the women of the South, and not one trust betrayed. So basically, they're saying good things about the women. Those are weird looking Ku Klux costumes, for real though. Not gonna lie. Why are those sewn so close together? So basically, they had to work underground in secret to get these things together. It's like a clown outfit. That was really weird gesture. Next time you're angry, that's what you gotta do. Oh, there goes the Confederate flag. Oh, so she does have a cage. I guess she kept it. And now she's gonna let it go. And I guess he's just so looking at the window to see this happen. No? Or maybe they're gonna be together. That would be a strange twist in the plot. Little sister consoles the disconsolate lover. Yeah, I guess she's probably gonna try to hook up with him. Oh, yep, that's awkward. Look what they did to relationships by allowing black people not to be slaves. It's crazy. All right. I'm going to stop it here and we are going to continue this on another night because I have to get off. But thanks everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Please follow my Twitter because that's probably when I'll put out when we watch the next one. But there's like an hour left. So thanks everybody. Y'all have a good night.